How do poker peeps? Today is the 6th of January. It's a Monday. It's 2014, just past 11 o'clock in the morning, and this is Run It Up 2. That's right. We are following through with the resolution we just made half an hour ago to more consistently get some videos made. We're back for a second shot today on this fine cold. We're up to 8 degrees outside in this wintry chill kind of week. And hot diggity, welcome back. Just a quick correction. Last time, earlier this morning when we played, I think when we checked out, I glanced at the wrong figure. We said we made about $7. That's not true. We started out at 202 and we finished $213, so more like $11. So when we're starting today, we are looking at $213.84. That is the state of the bankroll. We are back at a couple tables of 10 no limit. These are brand new tables, not the same ones I was playing earlier today. And we're all cranked up. We're ready to go. We are going to ride that one-for-one wave and see if we can't make some more progress. That's like $11. It's like 5% increase in the bankroll. Hot diggity. 2014 just is holding so much promise. It's not even funny. So here we go. Let's take a quick tour of the stacks. Looks like we are not burdened with quite so many short stacks on this left-hand side. Like your chances. Nice hand, says player one. All right, I don't even think he was involved in that hand, was he? All right. Let's see what we can do here. So on the right-hand side, we've got a couple of shorties going on, a couple of full stacks. So, as we were talking about last time, we're going to be working hard to hand out some flags. Now this guy, he only flat calls 10 cents there. Certainly could have a 10 or a 3, but it could have just as easily, I think, be ace high, king high kind of hand. I don't imagine he's calling. Again, I think we'd rather just check call. Let him try to take a stab with his big card or something. Doesn't work out. Full house wins. Full house wins. All right. Fair enough. Let's see if we can't pick this guy up. So 4 here. Made a flat call last time. And he bails. So let's go ahead. It seems entirely possible that he's just a little bit stationary. There he goes, calling again. Now, this is a spot where, I think if our theories about him are correct, he could easily call with overcards, but I think he's also easily calling with any one of those, with any kind of pair here. Let's go ahead and just check. See what he does. And he's betting pot. Yeah, I would imagine he's going to have some kind of pair here. I think it's safe to fold. So we're going to be keeping an eye on him, seeing if he does much raising, see if he's as passive as we'd like to see him be. Just sort of passively calling a lot. Well, we're just going to try one second bullet here. See if we've got another stationing guy. Yep. Calls once but not twice. Maybe just trying to keep us honest. May have a slight inclination to try to not let himself be bluffed. That's all right. We can take advantage of that. Could be a bit sketchy, kind of on the edge with just 6-7. But look at that. We make a pair right off the bat. Rolling along. It's a good time for Ace King. Be able to raise our third or fourth hand in a row, see if somebody's getting sick of it. All right, so let's very tentatively say that 6 is a fella who is willing and able to fold to boards that don't look too promising for him. Jack probably doesn't change much. He could just be calling with a club or any pair there. I don't see a whole lot of reason to try again. I wouldn't expect him to fold too often to a second barrel there. No. It's kind of what we wanted to see. I think it's a reasonable spot to go for some thin value. And a little surprised that he folds there. So let's go ahead and give him a yellow flag. Again, as somebody willing and able to fold. That bet on the river may have been a little bit of a blocking bet. That's a good looking flop. Brand new player. See if he hangs himself. Well, gosh darn it. I guess that paired king didn't really change anything. He wasn't going to be calling a bet on the river anyway. So last time we were talking about 10 no limit, and we talked about how there are a greater number of players who simply won't lay down a hand. Calling stations. There's a second sort of category of player you see a lot, it seems, at 10 no limit, more like maybe these guys on our right, people who are really just kind of scaredy cats. Run at any sign of trouble. That guy's had enough of our re-raising. Well, we like the way we're running so far. Okay. Digging it. Look at that. 2014 could be the year for running up to. This has not been the way of it, or it wasn't the way of it when we were playing towards the end of last year. It seemed like the rules were everybody else got to make hands and we didn't. A lot of suckouts and that kind of thing, but maybe we're going to have our turn in 2014. Wouldn't that be nice? Well, this should be kind of interesting. Set of sevens. Okay, reasonably consistent with the category we've put this guy in. Something a little more on the passive side. Often that'll mean that when they are betting out, and certainly re-raising, that it means something. The kind of player we want to read straightforwardly. So it looks like we may have a valuable read on that guy. Aces are good enough. Well, a great opportunity to see a flop for free with 8 deuce goes nowhere. On a different level, this could have been a kind of hand where we might have considered, depending on what these players were like. We've got one passive guy. If we thought he might have been the same, we might have done something like raise pre-flop and then try to work with the board like that. But that tends to work, it seems to me, less often here at 10 no limit, just because people are loath to give up hands that have any potential at all. You know, anything sort of remotely coordinated with that board or connected to that board, people would be, even when they shouldn't, you know, and gut shots and things. Looky there. Nice turn for number 6. Interesting that 6 just limped with the pocket pair on the button. So that may be an indication that he too is, well, we're not going to have a chance to do that. I was going to say that he too is something on the passive side. Ten jack, not gonna do it. So he's not a calling station who's entirely passive. If he was willing to throw it in there and see what he could get away with. he does that too many more times, we may have to give him change him from green to blue. Now, I'm going to say that a huge percentage of the time, 4 is going to call behind us. Oh, except he didn't have cards. Interesting quirk of the site that when you have to buy back in, you don't... Those maneuvers of rebuying tend to... foul things up a little bit. So this may not be entirely advisable. I mean, you'd think that any kind of hand there would be betting that flop. But we get 2 checks who then call. I'm afraid we just can't count on them to have the sense to fold. So I don't think we're going to be firing again. Unless we hit the gutter ball, which we didn't. Again, it seems like the kind of pot we should be able to pick up as they're chasing draws or something like that. But I can't count on either one of them to fold a 7 or a 6. Well, it was what it looked like. We may very well have been able to pick it up, but I have often seen people kind of call out of spite even when they miss and are basically on empty. I think that means we can tentatively say that these guys are a little bit on the chasey-collie side. Which means that we'll be taking maybe one small stab at this, but no more. That's going to help things out a little bit. All right. He did what a greenie is supposed to do. So if he calls at that point, we definitely think that firing a second bullet wouldn't have necessarily stood a high chance of working. Number 4. I think that number 4 is probably calling enough that we could be in reasonable shape here a fair amount of the time. I think we're going to go ahead and do it to it. We can always catch up if we are behind. And sure enough. And I think that move with nothing there is enough to go ahead and change him to blue. Little bit of an aggro monkey. Come on, buddy. Don't get discouraged. You can do it. Pop a few more dollars in there. Let's take a look at a flop. Deal it up. Could be a decent card to work with. These are some of the opportunities we were looking for, because if we re-raise here, I think there are a couple of things he's got to think of. If he doesn't have a queen, it's going to be tricky, of course. Even if he does, he may kind of have some concerns about the paired board. And we do get away with it. So that's good. That's the kind of thing that we were talking about last time, that maybe we haven't been doing enough of. You know, that was obviously a decent opportunity, and we're glad we didn't pass it by. Okay, so we've got him as a calling monkey. Ace high not looking too bad over there on the left. I think we're just gonna check. And we get a nice looking card on the turn. Ace high no good. Nice looking card followed by a not so nice looking card. Now this is one of those guys who could decide to get sticky with almost any kind of diamond. I mean, we've got him as a calling station. He's just bet a hefty portion of his stack. It's not as if he's folding at this point. So I think the chances that he's doing this, at least without some kind of diamond, are next to nil, and we have no fold equity, so adios. A little sad, but it's the way the cookie crumbles. Some equity here. He thinks he's got some equity too. We have talked about this effect in the past, where players are really anxious to get their money in. They kind of blow their wad when they pick up combo type hands. I wouldn't be surprised to see overs and you know, some kind of king queen of well, he limped, but I wouldn't be surprised to see some kind of pair and a draw, something like that. 9-10 jack queen. So he had draws galore. Obviously, we wouldn't have been too horrible against that particular hand, but you know, a hand that did have diamonds in it would have certainly affected our outs scenario. And further support that yellow is right for this guy. He's going to be a little more passive. He's not going to be doing something like that without some kind of significant equity. Well, I think we can go either way here. Don't like that a whole bunch. It's one of those, we mentioned this last time so many times here at 10 No Limit. Everything is exactly what it seems, and I'm going to say a really healthy dose of the time. He's aces or kings. We don't have blockers to those hands. We probably more likely those than ace king. A lot of people are just going to sort of flat call with ace king, see if they can't get there first. So that may be kind of nitty to be dropping the queens, but at this level, I just think that that's probably okay. Number 4 on a heater. I also think we were deep enough. We both had stacks in that last hand. Just a little bit more reason. People here, I think, tend to shy away from scenarios where they can lose money, hard-earned money, if they've got something of a stack. Just one more little piece of that puzzle that leads me to believe he was probably holding a monster. We certainly will be, if he sticks around, looking closely at what he's doing and trying to decipher whether he's the kind of guy who is willing to do that with ace king, or if that's always going to be aces or kings. So relative to this guy's stack, we hate to get into, we have picked up equity, but I don't imagine he's folding too much. If he's got an ace, I don't expect him to give it up. Well, if he's got clubs, we're okay. Spades. We certainly hope he's on a second pair kind of hand now. Wouldn't be surprised if it's a pretty weak ace. Nope. Second pair. All right, so it does tell us a little something about him. He is a bit on the collie side as well, in all likelihood. And impatient, too. Look at that. Didn't see how that hand developed, but bottom pair it looked like was good enough to win $1.61. This may be ill-advised, considering we got two greenies behind us. Maybe it'll work out. Maybe we'll pick up that dead money the way we were hoping to. realistically, not too many hands we can actually beat. I can't imagine too many people here at 10 limit are going to be making this bet into 2 players right here. Again, I hate to be too nitty, but just can't beat anything. And it would be awfully tough to catch up. Okay, so perhaps obviously not calling with too much. I think that's information enough to add him to the ranks of the greenies. So next time we have an opportunity to raise that king 5 or whatever it was out of position, I think we probably shan't do it. I think this is a value town scenario and nothing more. So for a second straight session, everything kind of working the way it's supposed to, the way we like to see it go down. Interesting. Okay, well that we don't have to decide whether to raise the limp from the guy who we would probably expect to turn around and call anyway. This is a scenario maybe somewhat affected by being at 10 no limit. There are maybe some situations where we'd be okay calling with a pair here or even trying to re-raise it, but we're in this 10 no limit 4-way pot. I just think the greater value is going to be found in waiting until we improve with a hand like that. And sure enough, 6 wasn't going to fold to anything anyway. So that's another spot where 6 not interested in or not having the sense to try to protect that top pair a little bit by he could have donked. I mean, considering how many people were in the pot, he could have gone ahead and just I think if we were in that spot, we would have seriously considered just betting out with it, being as playing it pretty straightforwardly. And if we had checked, we probably, I think, would have check raised to avoid you know, a king falls on the turn and we've still got 4 players, and you know, if it checks around, and then what do you do? But 6 not choosing to do that. 6 choosing to be passive and choosing the quick check line on the turn and river. Now he's green enough that he may have simply called anyway. So all of that doesn't necessarily make sense, but that's the kind of thing, the kind of player I think you see a lot of here at 10 no limit. Doing things that just don't make a whole lot of sense. And again, we don't expect him to be folding much. Don't get there on the right. And from what we saw of him in the last hand, we wouldn't be surprised if he, raising like that, maybe pair of fives or something in that range. We know he's happy to check back if he's got some kind of showdown value and he's worried about something. So I can't imagine we're ahead of much. I think we're just going to let it go. Number 1 says, raise it up. Can't stand this min betting stuff. 4 almost certainly calling. Looks like a reasonable flop for us. I think we can call a bet here. Let's go ahead and bet for a little value on this side. So if he's continuing to bet, if he's legit, I don't see that we can beat too many hands. I mean, he could be continuing to bet his ace king, something like that. Another spot where it may be overly nitty to let that one go. But I've just been surprised often enough at that effect, that everything is what it looks like. A lot of players, when they're weak there, they're just giving up. They don't like the board. They like the board less and less, and so they just stop. Considering he didn't do that, I'm okay with the fold. Little sad about it, but I'm okay. Again, just betting for some very thin value. If we get raised, I think we could easily fold it. Considering what we've seen of the guy, would not have been surprised to get called by worse. Not that there were that many hands that were worse than ours on that board, but he's been surprising that way. Still betting for value against his draws. Now we know that he'll give up on the river, so let's let him bet for us this time, just to mix things up. And that's a small enough bet that now I suspect he may actually have a hand, but we're going to find out. Okay, fair enough. And look at that, how time flies. I think we're going to call this our last orbit. Couple of flushes getting there. Look at that. Interesting failure to c-bet. One wonders whether he was trying to get clever and check raise or something with his ace high there. Hard to say if he had any idea where he was. So on the right, that'll do it. That's 11:53. And we're not quite done on the left. That looks so purty. Let's raise it up. Let's play some poker. None of this limping business, number one. Good enough looking flop there. And looks like we get to have fun one more time before we check out. Well, it didn't do so great marking people up on the left. On the right-hand side, though, we did all right. At one point, I think we had, what, 3 or 4 of these guys categorized. And it seems like a time or two we were able to use that information effectively. Well, let's go ahead and make it a little extra. He's so short. And we may get him to put it in with his draw or something like that. Not this time. That's all right. We'll take it as is. That'll leave us with 20.93 on the left. So it looks like we're up another 13 bucks or so. 213.84 is where we started. And we have just cashed out here. Bankroll 226.30. Hey, you know, it wouldn't be the worst thing to maybe take a look at a single table of 25 no limit. Maybe, you know, we've been rolling so well with these 10 no limit guys that maybe we'll come back and kind of pad things a little bit with some more 10 no limit, as long as it's going well and we're actually making a couple of hands against the calling stations and those kinds of things. So hot diggity, that makes 2 for 2 in 2014. It's the year of the poker, perhaps. You know, 2 for 2 doesn't get us to 10K just yet, but hey, it's a step in the right direction, and that's really what we were looking for today. We're going to take it. We're going to be happy about it. We are excited. We are thrilled to bits. Thanks for coming by. Maybe we'll make finish up our three video resolution, per week resolution. Maybe we'll do it all in one day. Just knock that stuff out. Maybe it's just going to be a juggernaut of videos this year. Who knows? But either way, thanks for coming by. Leave your questions and comments below if you have them. You can also email them to runitup2@gmail.com. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time. Adios.